What's up guys, my name is Bryce with Dust Runners Automotive Journal. Today we're going to compare the BMW N54 and N55 and see which one is actually better. Before we talk about these engines and which one is better, we should briefly discuss what these engines are and where they came from. Now, up until 2006, BMW mainly focused on producing naturally aspirated engines. They had produced turbocharged engines prior to 2006, such as the M102 and M106, but those engines never had successors and they were never really a full-on major production series engine. The N54 was BMW's first mainstream mass-produced turbocharged engine. It was developed alongside BMW's N53 and it's part of their NG6 engine family. It was featured in a handful of different vehicles, but ultimately it was favored out in favor of the N55 in 2011 with the exception of the 1M and the Z435i. Both engines are all aluminum 3-liter inline-6 turbocharged engines and they've both won multiple International Engine of the Year awards. Arguably the biggest difference between the N54 and the N55 are the turbochargers. The N54 features twin turbochargers and the N55 features a single twin scroll turbocharger. A twin scroll turbo is just a standard turbo with the exhaust housing split into two scrolls, and with this setup, each 3 cylinders on the same firing cycle feed an individual scroll of the turbocharger, which reduces exhaust reversion. Ultimately, the twin turbo setup on the N54 and the single turbo setup on the N55 both provide really good throttle response, very little lag, and lots of low-end and mid-range power. The twin scroll setup of the N55 allows peak torque to be delivered about 100 RPM sooner than the N54, but that's a very small difference and it's barely even noticeable in the real world. Now this might come as a surprise to you, but the twin turbo setup of the N54 actually offers more performance mod for mod than the N55 does. Simply put, the two turbos of the N54 are able to just move more air than the single turbo of the N55. That being said, twin turbos are significantly more complex, take up more space, weigh more, produce more heat. So if you want to go for big power, a lot of people end up ditching twin turbos in favor of a single turbo setup. Of course, the turbo setup is just one small part of the engine, and reliability is arguably one of the most important features of any engine, and both the N54 and the N55 fall kind of short when it comes to overall reliability. As I've discussed in previous videos, the N54 has a whole host of problems, including fuel injector issues, high pressure fuel pump failure, electronic water pump failure, and a bunch of other really common issues. It should be noted that the N55 is not perfect, but BMW did manage to fix a lot of the issues that the N54 had. Common issues for the N55 include valve cover leaking, electronic water pump failure, high pressure fuel pump failure on the older models, but not on the later models, and Vanos solenoid failure. Both the N54 and the N55 suffer from BMW wastegate rattle, which shouldn't reduce the longevity of the turbo, but it can be very annoying. Ultimately, the N55 is more reliable than the N54, but that's not saying much considering how unreliable the N54 was. I know there are going to be people in the comments claiming that their N55 was the most reliable thing on earth and it's better than anything ever, but the reality is both of these engines are pretty poor when it comes to reliability. Now when it comes to internal components, the N54 is slightly better than the N55. The N54 features forged crank and rods, and the N55 features cast crank and rods. Both engines feature cast pistons, and unless you're looking to push north of 600 wheel horsepower, both of these bottom ends are plenty strong. Now, once you want to go above 600 or 700 wheel horsepower, both of them are going to need built bottom ends. The N54 will be able to push closer to about 700 wheel horsepower, where the N55 can't push quite as high, but it's a very small difference. Both of these engines run out of steam really quickly because of their small turbochargers, so if you want to make big power, you're going to need a big single turbo for both of these engines. With a big single turbo, you can push both of these engines to around 600 to 700 wheel horsepower. Anything past that, you're going to need a built bottom end. Now, again, there's going to be people in the comments saying that the N54 can withstand 1,000 wheel horsepower on totally stock bottom end. That's great for one run on the dyno, but as far as a long-term solution, you're going to need a built bottom end above 700 wheel horsepower. When it comes to stock performance, these engines perform very similar to each other. Like I said earlier, the N54 offers peak torque 100 RPM sooner, but that's not really a very big difference. Both of them have pretty poor reliability and both of them have pretty strong aftermarket support. Realistically, they're both so similar in terms of performance that you can't really say one is officially better than the other. Now, a lot of people are going to say the N54 is better, and I would agree it is marginally better, but again, the difference is so small, it's really hard to even officially say it's the better engine. But I want to know what you guys have to say. Do you think the N54 is better than the N55? Do you think either of them are comparable to something like an RB26 or a 2JZ? Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.